So the next thing we want to talk about in number 4 is the problem. And again, as we say, we don't want to talk about the problem so that we can find who's guilty and who not. We're basically all guilty. We've created all together what's on this earth. It is just to define that, that you don't run and solve something that's maybe not the problem. Let's find out what is the thing that's happening. And I say to people that the biggest problem in the church world is not the devil. The devil is actually conquered. I mean, the devil is brought to zero, but we're hammering on this thing and we're going on this thing. And of course, we're preaching the devil, but, we were supposed to preach the solution, and the solution is Christ. And it is for me a tragedy to listen to sermons, and you need to listen and listen before you hear something of Christ, You hear lots of principles, psychological and this and that. That's also there. I mean, it's not wrong. But, I want to see Christ. I want to see Christ. I've been through theological seminary, studied 7 years, being in ministry 1 year, and then the Lord challenged me. He said, listen, I want you to preach just about Christ. The next Sunday I stood up, I couldn't talk for 10 minutes just about Christ. I could talk about lots of subjects, but Christ, just to say, okay, what is Christ? Okay, let's start. Christ. Okay, Christ. Okay, He died for us. Okay, He forgave us. We need to accept Him. Okay. Well, that's all. I couldn't talk about Him because my whole world was around things and doings and programs and people and problems, and my theology at that stage was a sin theology. I could preach about sin and define it for you, sin and the problem, till you will weep and creep under this chair, man. I mean, and you will die to yourself. I could help you to die to yourself, although I could never get you to finally die to yourself. And realizing, what are we busy with? What was I busy with? And there things started to change in my whole life, where I started to discover Christ Himself. And maybe that's the first point. We are all captured in our tradition and our truth. We simply do not know what we do not know. And that is where we need people that can tell us. And that's where I, at that stage, started to make a list of people that do funny things, like Benny. He left his church. I made a list of those people. I visited those people because I realized those people have seen something that I have maybe not seen, and they must tell me. And I visited people. I came right at Stellenbosch, and I visited Neville and all these people and saying, listen, tell me, what do you see? Because I'm just seeing a mess. I don't know how to get out of here because I do not know what I do not know and that I need to know. And someone else need to help me, and therefore we need to help each other. And every one of us has got part of the solution and the truth. And we must put our little piece on the table. How small it may be, it is still a piece. There's nothing so disturbing about a puzzle when it's finished and there's one little piece that's not there. You first see the absent piece. That's it. And that's what we need. We need all the contributions to get on the table, because the body of Christ consists out of a lot of people. Together we are the body. We cannot say to one cell, we don't need you, because that's not how it is built. And we need to get out of that. We need to start to read the Word more aggressively, because the Word has got the answer. And number 2, we need to ask other people, tell me. And don't be on the defending part, Tell people, say, listen, Benny, tell me, what do you see in my life? What do you see in my marriage? What do you see as a person that's coming in my home? What do you see I'm doing wrong with raising my children? What do you think I can add? What I can do? People will tell you things that you will grasp for your breath, but mostly it's the truth. But we're very scared to live in that place where people are freely allowed to speak to you, not to attack you, not to downgrade you, but to help you. And that was maybe the reason in my life where I could get out of stuff. If I don't know things, I just contact people all the way, all over. Contact them, tell me, how do you think? And that's how I got out of my problems, and to see that every one of us has got a paradigm of something in the Word that someone else or me is not seeing. And you need to find it. The second thing that is a problem is, and that is maybe one of our big problems, is growth and time. We're worrying about all stuff. We start up a congregation, and brother, we want growth. Because growth and more money and buildings and this and the program and whatever, and there's nothing wrong with anything of it, believe me or not, but we want it. But the more people we get there, the more needs, the more complaints, the more possibilities, the more relationships, the more confusion and whatever. Because all these people is busy doing something, and that's a human thing. It's all are consuming time. And our structure cannot handle all of this. And we even hit what we call ceilings. You know, 75% of all churches are at a ceiling of 70 to 80 people. Because that's the ceiling of one pastor and one wife. The pastor and his wife. And they're going to keep it like that because it's intimate. We don't want to go there. They will talk to you like that, you know. We don't want to be that big church, you know, because we want to be intimate. Are they wrong? They are not wrong in essence, but they are also wrong because they're keeping everything for themselves. How do we break out of that thing? Because time is the only thing that you cannot multiply. 24 hours still remain 24 hours. And you know, we've started up, I've been in lots of congregations from startup to whatever, and we say, it's relational, we're going to stick relational. But let me tell you, as the people become more in terms of numbers, the relational stuff just quickly fade away. Not because the person do not have a heart for relationship. You cannot function with 300, 1,000 people and still have a relational model. I've never seen it in my whole life. I've always seen it. You will get to a place where the numbers will force you to a program, to events where you can accommodate them. And it will take your time because it's consuming things. Listen clearly, not necessarily wrongly, but it is just the dimension of the thing. To organize something for 1,000 people. Yeah, to organize something for this tomorrow. Just ask them, you know. Yeah. To organize just for 20 people. It's a big thing. It's not a wrong thing, but we must not build on things like this as the normal thing, you know, and the more. And the strange thing of it all is, you know, you can attend your Sunday services, you find the most beautiful people there, but you find not relationship there. Because you do not have relationship on Sundays. It's an event. It's preaching of the word. It's not a relational thing. I've never found it that way. So time is a big problem. It is maybe a bigger problem than all the other problems. And if we can't solve this time problem, I tell you, we will go back to the old paradigm. Whatever the old paradigm is. We need structures and management. The more the people get, you know, the more you get into a dimension of just human people going into a dimension of lots of people. And we need to handle it. And our structures, the only way that we can do it, we put them in a structure where more and more we need to employ people to handle it. You can go right through. I remember Uncle Ralph has said that in Singapore, they had for every 4 members, they had a full-time person. You can look down at any congregation that's sort of moving and having some sort of success, and even the one that I'm in, you will see for at least every 20 people, you will have a full staff member. And with us, it's the same. Every 20 people. Every 20 people, you must have a full-time staff member, otherwise it's not going to happen. If you don't do it, you will move backwards, because you won't be able to handle the dimension of these numbers. Because you need to implement more events, more organizing, and it's taking more money and more time, more meetings. And when I talk to staff, they always tell you this thing: we don't have time for anything because we have meetings and meetings and meetings. And people think getting on a staff brings you into the spiritual cloud where you minister and minister. Listen, it's an admin job. When you're on church staff, it's admin. And you need to make time for ministry. Make time, because we are organizing all the other stuff. Not necessarily wrong, it's just so. And it will not change. You can change your name, you can change your talk, you can change anything. That is the dimension of gathering 1,000 people. It has never changed and it will never change. Is it wrong? No. But make sure, if you want to do it, that you can do it without losing your own identity and who you are in the process. The structure as we know it, we will come back to it later on in the, in our talks, we need three things. And that three things is very important. We need a program, we need members, and we need money. And if you don't fall in with that three things, we will not have the leaders on your side. That's how it's built, people. They need to see that this thing must work. And it's not wrong that they're doing, in essence, if you can say. But the problem is you get to a point where it works negatively into the relationships of people, and then it becomes wrong because the way we are building it is no longer relationally. I can never say in my life that, Sunday services is wrong. It's not wrong. It's an event. It can be wonderful. Just make sure you've got decent worship and you've got someone that preaches something that is really substance. Then it's nice. You have people there. It's organized. But it's an event. An event is got something that it can deliver as an event. But don't look at that event to bring your relationships in the terms of, we're building relationships here. Except maybe if you have a Sunday service from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we're all together for the whole day. We sit together, we talk. That's a different story. That's a different story. But hour and a half, no relationship. And it's not wrong. You can't have that type of relationship. There's too many things that need to be built. We need to have 5 special things. We're building on 5 special things. A special leader, a special building, a special day, a special program, and a special way of giving. And we can become very, very creative in ways of giving. I tell you. We find out ways. Don't laugh at me, Benny. And I'm not laughing at the church. It's just like, where do we come to a point where we say to ourselves, we cannot go on like this? And it's not wrong. We need money. I am not against money. We need the money. But we need to find a new and creative way in doing it that the people don't feel they are manipulated or in any way something else. Our structures can't handle it. That's it. Let's define it also that if we talk about a small group, it's 1 to 12 maximum. For me, over 4 is already dangerous. But 1 to 12, if you go over 12, it's an event. Everything over 12 is an event, I tell you. This is an event with 20 people. It is an event. It takes lots of organizing. Nothing wrong, but make sure when you use an event that you use it for a specific purpose. You go for it, you get it, but you can't go on constantly. Having just events, it will drain you, it will kill you, it will take your money away, and it will exhaust you because it is exhausting to organize it. Leadership and authority, everything in church, as we've said, we need to change the money thing and the leadership thing. But leadership, on average, is always initiating and driving the stuff. We actually believe that we as leaders, if we don't initiate it, people won't do it. I often talk to leaders and I say, let's cut this program. They say, but then the people are going to do nothing. I say, I don't think so. The people have a passion to do it. Yes, they won't do it organized. Yeah, but we need to, I say, but that's the problem. We want plantations, all the stuff is in lines, and we plant the stuff. And then we say we've got order here. But there's no bigger order than in a forest. A plantation is not order, it's man-made order. It is disrupting because there's only trees in this plantation. The way we want it, how we want it, we cut them where we want it, But when you plant a forest, you just allow everything to be there. And the moment you put your human hand into that forest, you get problems. Because somehow God has got systems that He can control things, and we believe that we must control them. We go over the line. We must not go over the line of what the head is doing and what we must doing. As leaders, we are here to facilitate, not to give vision in the first place, and make sure we get them filed up and whatever. Vision is not wrong. People, nothing is in essence wrong. It's the way we use it that kills relationship. That kills the flow that's in the body, that kills the contribution of everything, of everyone. And we need to get to that point where we don't see ourselves as leaders that needs to be there, that we are the people. If we're there, everything will fall apart. Guess what? It will not fall apart. You will maybe be surprised. But it's not supposed to fall apart. And maybe you must leave and see if it's falling apart. Because if it's not being run out of Christ and Christ driven, well, let it fall apart. Because death is not wrong. Let it die so that we can get a new dimension. Sometimes we're just missing the new dimension because we're pumping up this old corpse. Man, we make it alive every Sunday. And we tell people, look at it, it's alive, it's dead. And people have found out it's dead. Therefore, they don't come and look at it any longer. Okay, the last thing is values and methods. People are no longer driven by programs and methods. People are driven by values. People are driven out of their hearts. That doesn't say they're against programs, because there's nothing wrong. We can have a program, but they are not driven by it. They are not motivated by it. They are motivated by something that's very special in their own hearts. And they want to live out of their heart and no longer out of a program. And we must somehow allow them to live that life somehow or another.